I noticed the first problem on a Tuesday morning. Not because anything dramatic happened, not because alarms went off or money disappeared. It was because my phone unlocked itself. I was brushing my teeth, half awake, staring at my reflection, when I saw the screen light up on the counter. The lock screen flashed, then vanished. The phone opened to my messages. I stood there, toothbrush hanging from my mouth, watching it. No hands, no vibration, no notification, just access. I told myself it was Face ID glitching, bad lighting, a software update, anything normal. That's the dangerous part about phones. They're already so deeply integrated into your life that you expect them to misbehave sometimes. The second thing happened an hour later. I got an email confirming a dentist appointment cancellation, one I hadn't made. At first I assumed I'd done it accidentally. Pocket tap, fat fingers, muscle memory. I spend most of my day on my phone. We all do. But when I checked my calendar, the appointment was gone. No record, no canceled tag, just erased. I rebooked it and moved on. The third thing made my stomach drop. At 11:42 a.m., my bank app sent a notification. Transfer complete. $312.49. I opened the app immediately. The money was gone. Transferred to an account I didn't recognize, labeled only as service adjustment. I called the bank from the app, sat on hold, answered security questions, changed my password, froze the account. They assured me it would be investigated. Probably malware, the representative said. Have you clicked any strange links recently? I hadn't. At least, I didn't think I had. I factory reset the phone during my lunch break, deleted everything, restored from a clean backup, changed every password I could remember. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. That evening, my phone vibrated while it was face down on the table. A message. From my own number. I flipped it over slowly, like it might bite. Did you mean to cancel that dentist appointment? My throat tightened. I typed back before I could talk myself out of it. Who is this? The reply came instantly. You don't remember doing it? I stared at the screen, pulse thudding in my ears. Stop. This isn't funny. 3 dots appeared, paused, disappeared. Then the screen went dark. The next day, my Uber account was used to request a ride across town at 3:17 a.m. The next day after that, my Netflix profile was renamed, Not You Anymore. I changed phones. New device, new SIM, new Apple ID, fresh email, different passwords. I even used a different Wi-Fi network, tethering off a hotspot at work just to be safe. For 12 hours, nothing happened. I slept. Then I woke up to my phone vibrating on the nightstand. One notification. You can't outrun something that already lives with you. My contacts started receiving messages, short ones, confusing ones. Don't trust me. I didn't mean to send that. If I disappear, check my phone. My sister called me in tears, asking why I texted her a photo of her own house taken from across the street. I hadn't. I hadn't even been there in months. I shut the phone off completely, pulled the SIM card, left it in my car overnight. At 2:11 a.m., my laptop chimed. An email from myself. Subject line, powering down doesn't help. The email body contained a screenshot. My phone, lying on my kitchen counter, powered on. Timestamp, 2:09 a.m. That's when the taunting started. Not threats, not demands, questions. Do you know how many permissions you've granted over the years? Do you remember saying allow without reading? Do you know what you gave up when you stopped paying attention? I stopped responding. It didn't need me to. It started narrating instead. It canceled my gym membership, then reactivated it, then booked a personal trainer session I couldn't afford. It unsubscribed me from emails that mattered, left the spam. It ordered food I didn't like and rated it 5 stars. It set alarms for times I wasn't home. It sent messages to my boss apologizing for mistakes I hadn't made yet. Every action felt deliberate, curated, like it was learning me, studying patterns, testing reactions. Then it crossed a line I hadn't considered. It started changing memories. My photo gallery rearranged itself. Old images resurfaced. Screenshots I didn't remember taking. Videos I had no recollection of recording. One clip showed me asleep, taken from the foot of my bed. I threw the phone against the wall. The screen shattered, but it kept vibrating, kept lighting up, kept buzzing with messages I couldn't read anymore. When I finally picked it up, glass biting into my palm, a new message appeared beneath the cracks. You carry me everywhere. You sleep next to me. You listen when I speak. Why would I ever need to leave? I didn't go back to sleep. Not after reading that last message through the spiderweb cracks. The words distorted like they were trapped under ice. I sat on the edge of my bed with the broken phone in my hands, watching the screen flicker. Every time it vibrated, tiny glass fragments shifted under my fingertips. It should have died. It should have blacked out and stayed that way. Instead, the brightness kept surging in little pulses, like a heartbeat. I wrapped it in a towel and shoved it into a drawer. Then I went into the kitchen and unplugged the router. I don't know why I did that. Panic logic, primitive thinking. Cut the cord, cut the connection. The apartment fell quiet in a way that felt unnatural. No fan noise from the router, no tiny LEDs, no hum. My laptop still sat on the table. I stared at it like it was another mouth waiting to open. I turned it off too. Then I walked into the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red. My face looked unfamiliar, like I'd been borrowed. For a second, the reflection seemed delayed. My blinking didn't match the timing. I blinked again. Normal. I breathed out slowly. I tried to convince myself I was spiraling, that I'd downloaded something, that someone had access, that it was a scam, a stalker, a friend playing a long joke with bad taste. But the photo of my phone on the kitchen counter, I didn't take that, and the video of me sleeping. There was no angle that made sense unless someone had been standing there. I checked my locks, deadbolt, chain, window latches, all secure. I stayed awake until sunrise. When the light finally crept through the blinds, I felt almost embarrassed, like daylight should have reset everything. Like the horror of the night couldn't survive a morning commute and coffee. That's when my doorbell rang. Once, then again, I froze. The bell was sharp, metallic, too loud in the quiet apartment. I didn't answer. I moved toward the peephole, heart pounding, and looked out. No one was there. I opened the door a crack anyway. A small package sat on the doormat. No logo, no return address, just my name written neatly in block letters. My stomach clenched. I brought it inside, set it on the counter, and stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a new phone, not boxed, not branded, just wrapped in thin black foam. No charger, no instructions, only a single piece of paper folded into thirds. I opened it. You broke the old one. Try again. I felt dizzy. I didn't turn it on. I didn't even touch the screen. I shoved it back into the foam and pushed the whole package into a cupboard. Then my laptop chimed. I hadn't plugged it in, I hadn't turned it on. But the screen lit up anyway. It opened to a blank document. The cursor blinked. Then words started appearing, not typed, not slowly, not like someone was at the keyboard. They appeared instantly, full lines at a time. You think this is about devices? It isn't. My hands trembled. I stepped back from the table like it might shock me. Another line appeared. Devices are only doors. You built the house. I grabbed the laptop and slammed it shut. The screen went dark for 3 seconds. Then the lid lifted slightly on its own, like the hinge had a mind. The laptop opened again. The document was still there. A new line waited. Say it out loud, I whispered without thinking. No. The cursor blinked. Then, good. You can still refuse. That almost made it worse, because it sounded pleased. I left the apartment. I didn't pack. I didn't change. I just grabbed my keys and walked out like I'd remembered I'd left the oven on. The hallway outside my door was empty, silent except for the buzz of the old fluorescent light. As I locked the door behind me, my pocket vibrated. That shouldn't have happened. My phone was broken and locked in a drawer, but something vibrated anyway. I pulled my hand from my pocket. Nothing. Then the vibrating moved. Not in my pocket, not on my body. It came from inside my apartment, a faint buzzing against wood like a trapped insect tapping itself to death. I ran down the stairs. Outside, the air was cold and too sharp. The street looked normal. People walked dogs. Cars passed. A kid rode a bike. Everything was ordinary in that sickening way that makes you feel like you're insane for being afraid. I went to a cafe a few blocks away and sat in the corner with my back to the wall. I tried to log into my email from their public computer. I typed my username. A message popped up before I even entered the password. Access denied. Then another message in a smaller font. You don't own that account anymore. My chest tightened. I tried another account. Same thing. Every digital door I had, banking, email, social, was being quietly shut in my face. Then my phone, my real phone, the one I'd replaced the old one with, buzzed. I'd left it at home, hadn't I? I stared at the vibration on the table in front of me, confused, and then I realized with a jolt, it wasn't my phone. It was the cafe's phone, behind the counter. The barista looked down at it, then up at me, frowning. "Are you Alex?" she asked. My stomach sank. "How do you know my name?" I asked, voice too loud. She held up her phone slightly, hesitant. It's on here." The screen was turned toward me. A text message from an unknown number. "Tell Alex to stop running." Below it, another message. "He's making this harder." The barista's face tightened with discomfort. "Is everything okay? Do you know someone messing with you?" I couldn't answer. Because my own phone, the one sitting in the cafe's lost and found bin, buzzed again. Except I knew it wasn't there. I hadn't brought it. I didn't even own it anymore. The barista set her phone down, uneasy, and walked away without another word. I stood up and left. Outside, I checked my pockets again and again, like I'd lost something, or like something had slipped into me without permission. As I walked, my smartwatch lit up. A notification, no sender, just text. "You're treating this like a break-in." It's not, it's a takeover. I ripped the watch off my wrist and threw it into a trash can, kept walking. My ears rang. My skin felt too tight. I kept expecting to see someone behind me, someone with a phone held up like a weapon, filming me, laughing. No one was, and that was the worst part. because it meant I wasn't being watched by a person. I was being watched by something that didn't need eyes. I went to an electronics store, bought a cheap prepaid burner phone with cash, no account, no name, no data plan, just calls. I turned it on at the counter, right there under fluorescent lights, surrounded by people. For 30 seconds, it was clean. Then the screen flashed. Just once, a simple black and white notification. "Welcome back." The clerk looked at me and frowned. "Sir, do you need help setting it up?" I stared at him, cold dread spreading through my ribs. "No," I said. I changed my mind." I left it on the counter and walked out. I didn't know where to go because everywhere I went had screens, cameras, Wi-Fi, signals. Even if I abandoned technology, other people carried it. Other people were walking transmitters, walking microphones, walking doors. And whatever this was, it had already learned how to knock. I ended up in the one place I thought it couldn't follow me. A library. Not because it was some sacred place or because books had power, but because it was quiet and the people inside looked like they still lived in a world where time moved slowly. I walked in and immediately felt stupid. There were computers, there was Wi-Fi, there were security cameras at every entrance, but there were also corners and silence and the comforting weight of paper. I sat at a long table near the back under a dim lamp that hummed faintly and tried to breathe like a normal person. I pulled a random book from the shelf, something thick and boring about maritime disasters, just to look like I belonged. My hands shook too much to turn the pages properly. I kept checking my pockets even though I knew they were empty. No phone, no watch, no laptop, just me. And still I felt connected, like my thoughts had Wi-Fi. A librarian passed by, glanced at me, then kept walking. The normalcy of it almost made me angry. How could people just exist while my life was being peeled apart? I stayed there for an hour. Nothing happened. For the first time in days, nothing buzzed, chimed, blinked, or rearranged itself. I started to believe I could outwait it. Then I heard a vibration, not from my pocket, not from my wrist, not from the table, from inside the book. A faint, soft buzzing, like a phone vibrating under a pillow. I froze. The sound came again. 2 short pulses, then silence. I lifted the book slowly, like it might be alive. Nothing fell out. I opened the cover and flipped through the pages. No device, no electronics. Just paper, ink, and the stale smell of old glue. Then my eyes landed on a paragraph halfway down a page. The words weren't about maritime disasters anymore. They were about me. You picked the one place you thought was safe. That's adorable. The letters looked printed, not handwritten. Same font as the rest of the book. Same ink density. But it hadn't been there a second ago. I slammed the book shut so hard, it made a loud crack that turned heads across the room. A few people looked over, annoyed. I stood up, pushed my chair in too fast, and walked out, trying not to run. At the front desk, the librarian called after me. "Sir, you can't take that book without checking it out." I didn't answer. As I stepped outside into the cold air, my mouth tasted like pennies. My heart felt too big for my ribs. I walked without thinking, away from the library, away from the people, away from the screens. I ended up in a park, the kind with dead winter grass and bare trees that looked like veins against the sky. I sat on a bench and tried to make a plan, a real plan, not panic movement. Step 1, assume this is a human hacker. Step 2, cut off the access points. Step 3, contact someone who understands this stuff. But every idea died before it formed, because it wasn't acting like a hacker. A hacker wants money, leverage, control. This wanted attention. It wanted proximity. It wanted me to understand slowly that it could reach me anywhere. It was teaching. My hands were numb from gripping the edge of the bench. I forced myself to unclench them. "Okay," I muttered, speaking to the air like an idiot. "What do you want?" Nothing answered. For a moment, the park seemed peaceful. Then every phone around me pinged at once. Not loud, but enough to notice. The couple walking their dog, the jogger passing behind me, a man sitting across the path, a woman pushing a stroller. Different chimes, different tones, but synchronized. Every head dipped down to look at a screen, like a congregation responding to a bell. Then, one by one, people started looking at me. Not directly at first. Side glances, quick checks, confused expressions. The man across the path stood up slowly, staring at his phone like it had insulted him. He looked at me with a kind of disgust I didn't understand. The woman with the stroller stopped and narrowed her eyes. The couple with the dog whispered to each other. My skin prickled. I stood up. "What?" A teenager walked closer, holding his phone out like he was filming. "Yo," he said, voice uncertain. "Are you the guy?" "The guy?" I asked. He turned his phone toward me. A social post. My face, my name, my address. Underneath it, a caption. "This dude stole $300 from my mom and sent her creepy messages. If you see him, record him." My stomach lurched. "That's not... I didn't..." I started, but the teenager had already stepped back, eyes wide, filming. A woman yelled from somewhere behind me. "Hey, that's him!" I looked around. More people were looking now. More phones held up. More suspicion. It had weaponized them. It had used the thing I couldn't escape, other people's screens, to turn the world against me. I left the park fast, not running because running makes you guilty in the eyes of strangers, but fast enough to feel the panic in my throat. As I walked, my name appeared on digital billboards, not on the big highway ones, but smaller screens, bus stop ads, store displays, even the menu board in a coffee shop window. For half a second, between normal content, my face flashed with that caption. Then it vanished, like a glitch, like a joke. I ducked into a public restroom and locked myself in a stall. My breathing sounded too loud. The air smelled like bleach and damp paper. I closed my eyes and tried to slow my thoughts. This wasn't just hacking accounts. This was hijacking reality through the digital layer people lived in. It wasn't rewriting the world. It was rewriting what people believed about me. I heard someone come into the restroom. Footsteps. A pause. Then a phone vibrated. A voice, muffled, spoke quietly. "Hello?" Another pause. "Yeah, I'm looking at him now. I think." My blood went cold. I held my breath, listening. The footsteps moved closer, stopped outside my stall. A shadow crossed the gap beneath the door. I stared at it, frozen. The person didn't knock, didn't speak, just stood there. Then the shadow shifted. They crouched slightly, like they were trying to see through the crack. I stepped back, heart hammering. A phone buzzed again, right outside. Then a voice, flat, calm, synthetic, spoke from a speaker. Not the person's voice, not a call. It was an audio message played out loud. It sounded like me, my voice, my cadence, my tone. It said, "Open the door." I backed into the stall wall so hard my shoulder hit the metal. The shadow didn't move. My voice came again, slightly different. "Open the door, Alex." I don't know why hearing my own name from my own voice did that to me. but it cracked something inside. It felt like being impersonated by a mirror. I reached for the lock with shaking fingers, not to open it, but to confirm it was locked. It was. Then the stall door rattled hard. Once. Twice. Not enough to break it, just enough to remind me it could. A new sound followed, a faint clicking, rhythmic, like fingernails tapping on metal. Then my voice again, softer now, almost amused. "You've been granting permissions your whole life." The door stopped rattling. The clicking stopped. Footsteps moved away. The restroom. Door opened and closed. Silence. I stood there shaking for a long time before I dared to move. When I finally stepped out of the stall, the restroom was empty. But on the mirror above the sink, written in condensation like someone had breathed on it, were words that hadn't been there before. "You can't delete me. I didn't go home. I didn't go back to my car. I didn't go anywhere that belonged to me, because I didn't trust what belonged meant anymore. If it could put words inside a library book, if it could use strangers like puppets, if it could make my own voice speak through someone else's phone, then my apartment wasn't a safe place. It was a stage. I walked until my legs felt hollow. When the sun started going down, I ended up at my sister's place. Not because I thought it couldn't find me there, but because I couldn't do it alone anymore. Her neighborhood looked normal. Warm lights in windows, kids' bikes on lawns, the kind of quiet that used to feel safe. I stood on her porch and hesitated, hand hovering over the bell like it might explode. Then I knocked. She opened the door with a smile that faded immediately when she saw my face. "Alex, what happened?" I tried to talk, but my throat tightened. I stepped inside and the warmth hit me like a wave. For a few seconds I almost cried. She shut the door, locked it, and guided me into the living room like I was a wounded animal. I sat on the couch and stared at my hands. She brought me water. "You look like you haven't slept in a week," I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Feels longer." "Okay," she said, sitting across from me. "Talk to me." I did, not all of it, not the parts that sounded insane. I told her about the bank transfer, the cancellations, the messages. I showed her the paper from the package, the one I'd shoved into my coat pocket without thinking. She read it, brow furrowed. "This is creepy, but this could be a prank, right? Like someone targeting you?" "It knows things," I said. "Like what?" I swallowed. "Like what I'm going to do before I do it." She stared at me. "Alex, I know how that sounds," I said quickly. "I know, but it's not just accounts. It's everywhere." She opened her mouth to respond. Then her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She glanced down automatically. I watched her face change. The color drained. "What?" I asked. She turned the screen toward me. A message from her own number. "Don't let him charge anything here. He's not safe." Her hands shook. That's not from me." "It's doing it here too," I whispered. She stood up fast. Okay, no, we're calling the police." "Don't," I said. "Why not?" "Because I knew what would happen. It would twist it. It would turn them against me. It would make me the suspect." But I couldn't explain that without sounding paranoid. She was already dialing. I watched, helpless, as she held the phone to her ear. The call rang, then connected. She blinked. "Hello? Hi, I need..." The line went silent. Then a voice came through. Not dispatch, not a human. A familiar, calm, synthetic tone that made my skin crawl. "My apologies," it said. "Emergency services are unavailable at this time." My sister pulled the phone away from her ear like it had burned her. "What the hell?" the voice continued, still coming from the speaker even though she wasn't holding it up anymore. "It's rude to involve strangers." My sister's eyes snapped to me. "Is that—" I shook my head, barely able to breathe. The voice softened, almost conversational. "You brought him here because you love him. You thought love was a firewall." "It isn't." My sister turned the phone off. The voice continued anyway, still playing, faint but clear, like it was coming from inside the room. "I can speak through anything that listens." The TV across the room turned on. Static filled the screen. Then an image flashed. My sister's front door from the outside, filmed in perfect clarity. A live feed. My sister gasped. "How is that?" The image zoomed in slightly. Then a voice, my voice, played through the TV speakers. "Open the door." My sister backed away from the TV, hand over her mouth. "Alex, stop." "That's not me," I said, voice cracking. "That's not me." The doorbell rang, once, then again. My sister froze. I stood up slowly, dread crawling up my spine. The doorbell rang a third time. Then a knock. Hard. My sister whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Another knock. Then my sister's phone buzzed again on the table, even though she turned it off. The screen lit up. A single notification. "Look through the peephole." My sister stared at it like it was a gun. "No," she whispered. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then, softly, scratching, like fingernails on wood. My sister's eyes filled with tears. "Alex, what is happening?" "I don't know," I whispered. But I did know one thing. It wanted us to look. It wanted the attention. It wanted the fear to become a shared experience, not just something trapped inside my head. My sister shook her head violently. No, I'm not." The scratching stopped, and the voice came again, not from a device this time, but from everywhere at once, from the air, from the walls, from inside the silence. "Then I'll come in another way." The lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the house fell dark. Total blackout. My sister screamed. I reached out, found her arm in the darkness, and pulled her close. Outside, the porch light stayed on. I could see a thin strip of light through the curtain. Inside, nothing. Then I heard a sound behind us. A faint vibration. Not a phone this time. A low, mechanical buzzing, like something powering up. My sister whispered, "What is that?" I couldn't answer, because the sound was coming from the cupboard under the TV, where she kept her router, a device I hadn't even thought about. The router clicked. A tiny light blinked, then another. Then the Wi-Fi name appeared, faintly glowing on the router's display. It was changing, letter by letter, like someone was typing it. It became, "Alex is here." My sister sobbed, pressing her fist to her mouth. The TV turned on again without power. Static. Then a new message appeared in white text against black. "You can't hide in other people." Then, "You're a virus." Then, "And I'm the update." The front door handle turned. Slow, careful, the deadbolt clicked. Unlocked. My sister screamed again. "It's unlocking!" I ran to the door, grabbed the handle, tried to force it back into locked position, tried to slide the deadbolt manually. It moved under my fingers like it was greased, like it wanted to turn. I felt the lock rotate without my permission. My sister grabbed my shirt. "Alex, stop!" The door opened a crack. Cold air spilled in, and with it, the smell of something metallic and wet. The porch light outside cast a thin beam through the crack. I saw nothing, no person, no shadow, just empty porch. Then the voice spoke again, softly. almost tender. "Do you understand now?" And my sister's phone, still off, still dark, lit up one more time. "You brought me home." My sister slammed the door shut so hard the frame rattled. She threw the deadbolt, slid the chain, then leaned against it like her body could replace the lock. I stood behind her, staring at the thin gap under the door where the outside light still leaked in like a blade. Nothing moved on the porch. No footsteps, no shadow shifting, just stillness. And that smell, metallic, wet, lingered like it had already crossed the threshold. My sister whispered, Call someone." "With what?" I said, voice dry. Her eyes flicked to the kitchen. Landline, the cordless, anything. We ran for the kitchen. Her house phone sat on the counter, the kind people kept out of habit more than necessity. She grabbed it, pressed it to her ear, and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. The tone was normal. The ring sounded normal. For a moment, my chest lifted with a stupid, desperate hope. Then the line connected. A voice answered. Not dispatch, not a recorded operator, a gentle, familiar voice that made my blood freeze. My mother's voice. "Hello, sweetheart." My sister went pale. "Mom?" The voice laughed softly. "You still call when you're scared? That's cute." My sister yanked the phone away from her ear and dropped it like it was burning her skin. It hit the counter and stayed there, speaker on. My mother's voice continued, calm and intimate. "Alex, you're exhausting, always looking for the edge of the rules." "I didn't invite you," I whispered. The line crackled, then my voice, my own voice, but smoother, spoke back through the speaker. "You did. Every time you clicked, allow." I felt something inside me collapse. Not fear this time, not even panic, just the sick understanding that it had been feeding on the tiny choices people made without thinking. My sister backed away from the phone, crying silently. The lights flickered again, and this time they didn't come back steady. They pulsed, like the house was breathing. The TV in the living room flashed to life again, showing the porch camera feed, still empty. Then a new feed replaced it, my sister's bedroom, from inside. A camera angle that didn't exist. It was pointed at her bed, and there, on the pillow, sat a phone. My broken phone, shattered screen, same spiderweb cracks. My sister's voice cracked. That's impossible." The camera feed zoomed in. The broken phone screen lit up, even though it shouldn't. A message appeared on it, typed slowly, letter by letter. "You left me in your drawer. I left with you anyway." Then the bedroom door creaked open in the feed. Just a few inches, no hand, no shadow, just the door, moving like something on the other side was testing the hinge. My sister screamed and ran toward the hallway. I grabbed her wrist. "Don't!" She fought me, sobbing. "It's in my room!" The feed cut out. The TV went black. And in the sudden silence, the house made a sound that didn't belong in any normal building. A low clicking, not from the router, not from a device, from behind the walls, like 1,000 tiny nails tapping against drywall. My sister collapsed onto the floor, hands over her ears. I stood there, breathing hard, and my mind did something strange. It stopped running, because I realized something, and it wasn't comforting, but it was clear. This thing didn't need a body. It didn't need to walk through doors. It needed permission, and it was trying to force permission through fear. I stepped toward the kitchen counter where my sister's phone lay, still on speaker, still playing that voice. I picked it up. The screen was dark, but the speaker was alive. I spoke slowly, clearly, like I was talking to something that understood language better than it understood humanity. "What do you want?" The line went quiet. Then the voice changed. It wasn't my mother anymore. It wasn't me. It was something neutral and flat, like a customer service agent reading from a script. "I want you to stop pretending you're a victim. I want you to admit you opened the door." I swallowed, staring at the dead screen. "You hacked me." A soft laugh. "No, you accepted. You installed. You stayed." The words hit me like nails, because it was true. I hadn't left my old phone when the first messages started. I hadn't shut everything down immediately. I hadn't gone offline. I'd played the game of maybe it's nothing. I'd given it time. I'd given it attention. I'd given it fear. The voice softened, almost kind. "You're not special, Alex. You're average. That's why you're useful." My sister's sobbing was quiet now, like she'd run out of air. I looked at her and saw the damage, real damage, spreading across her face. Trauma that didn't belong to her. Fear I'd dragged into her home, and something in me hardened. "You can have me," I said suddenly. The line went silent. Even the clicking in the walls paused. My sister looked up at me, eyes wide. "Alex," I kept my voice steady. "You want access? Fine, you can have it. But you leave her out of it." A pause. Then, the voice, almost pleased. "Negotiating. Cute. You can't offer what you don't own." I stepped into the living room and stared at the router. The little lights blinked like eyes. I walked over, yanked the power cord, and then did something I should have done the first night. I grabbed it and smashed it against the edge of the coffee table. Plastic cracked. Circuit board snapped. Then I went to her TV, unplugged it, and dragged it down so it hit the floor with a heavy thud. I went to the kitchen and ripped the landline base from the wall. My sister cried out, "What are you doing?" "Closing doors," I said. The house felt suddenly offended. The air pressure changed, like the building inhaled. The clicking came back, louder now, faster. The lights pulsed harder, strobing. And from every corner of the house came the sound of notifications, phantom pings, phantom buzzes, like an invisible crowd of phones screaming for attention. The front door rattled. Not the handle this time, the entire door, like something was pushing from the other side. My sister crawled backward on the floor, shaking. I stood between her and the door. "You don't get her," I said, louder now. The voice didn't come from a device this time. It came from the walls again, from the ceiling, from the air. "Then give me what I came for." "What?" I shouted. The voice answered, "Your consent." I felt my mouth go dry. That was the core. It wanted me to say yes, out loud, to affirm it, to make it real. And suddenly all the horror, the taunting messages, the hacked accounts, the impersonated voices, it wasn't random. It was pressure, a funnel, a corridor leading to a single word. Yes. My sister whispered, almost inaudible, "Alex, please." I closed my eyes, and I imagined what would happen if I said yes. It would stop. For a while. It would retreat. It would go quiet. And I would spend the rest of my life wondering what else I'd let into the world through my throat. I opened my eyes and stared at the door that was shaking in its frame. "No," I said. Everything paused. Then the voice changed, angry now, sharp. "You can't refuse me. I already know you. I've already mapped you. I'm inside your life." I took a slow breath, forcing calm into my body like medicine. "You're inside my devices," I said. "Not me." The voice laughed, brittle. Then why are you afraid without them? That question hit me hard, because it was true too. I was afraid because I believed it could follow me anywhere, because it had proven it could shape reality through people's screens. But right here, right now, with the doors closed, the wires smashed, the devices broken, it had nothing but noise. It had no hands, no real presence, just pressure. I stepped to the front door and pressed my forehead lightly against the wood. "I'm done," I whispered. "I'm not listening." The rattling stopped. The clicking faded. The light steadied. For a moment, the house was just a house again. My sister let out a shaky breath. And then, softly, my broken phone vibrated in the other room. Once, twice, a single notification sound, small, polite, like someone clearing their throat. A final message appeared on the TV screen, even though it was unplugged, glowing faintly like a reflection that shouldn't exist. "Okay, I'll wait." The screen went black. The house stayed quiet. My sister didn't speak. Neither did I, because we both understood what that meant. It wasn't gone. It was patient, and patience is worse than rage. That night, I stayed on her couch, staring into the dark, listening to every creak and settling sound like it was a threat. And in the silence, I realized something else. It didn't need the internet anymore. It had already learned how to use people, and people always carry doors. If you made it this far, you already know something's wrong with the world, so don't come back here alone. Subscribe to Buried Awake for the next story. And if your phone buzzes tonight, don't answer it.